again.
Yeah. So a continuation on the discussion on the rise versus bourbons and absorption and evaporation, and we're just talking about why 18 marriage is just such a fabulous juice. Do you think that there's something there, the science between the mash bills of the difference in those absorption and evaporation levels?
Based on the mash bill?
Yeah, the mash bill, the science behind how much a bourbon is absorbed, based on those chemical compositions.
That's a great question. I actually like to dive into that a little bit more myself to find that answer. I've got a few people and a few resources that I could go to find that out, that I know for a fact would be able to go deeper into that and be able to provide some more clarity. And I will ask that, and I'll definitely chime back in. One of the things that I know for a fact, which is really interesting, is also the type of wood. One thing that people don't realize and kind of get mixed up, I'll just say that, about a bourbon and what classifies or will qualify a whiskey to be a bourbon. One of the things that they forget or they possibly misquote is they will say, well, it has to be in an American oak barrel. And that is not true at all. So if you look at the actual qualifications, it says in an oak container. That is literally, look it up, Google it. That is, it says container. It does not say a barrel. So you could take a wooden oak box, square, and age your whiskey and your bourbon in it, and meet all the other qualifications. We're not going to get into all that, and it's got to be 51% corn and all the other things. But put it in a wooden box that it seals it up, and put a bung and all these other things, and it could still be a bourbon and qualify as a bourbon.
Right.
Doesn't say anything about being a barrel. A barrel was chosen by just about everybody because of the shape and its ease of moving. Okay? Because it's easier to stack and move. I mean, yeah, you could stack a square, but you want to try flipping a freaking 500-pound square all over the place and trying to rotate it.
You're rolling a barrel.
How are you going to move it? That's why a barrel is chosen.
Right.
But again, this is a misconception. Some people say that it's a barrel. Now, different types of wood. The reason I bring that up is that does definitely affect flavor and the aging taste. And the reason I say aging taste is there's a lot of whiskeys out there, especially down south, where they'll taste more aged than they actually are. And there's a couple different ways you can achieve that besides actually waiting 5 years, 6 years, 4 years, whatever, 8 years. One of them is the type of wood that you use. So for instance, we talked about Texas whiskeys, Rebecca Creek. There's a Rebecca Creek right there. You can look at that color.
Yeah.
That is a
dark
Spanish oak. That is a double-barreled Spanish oak. So Spanish oak versus American oak has, and I did a review on this before, has wider grains and is a softer wood than American oak. So what does that mean? Wider grains draws more whiskey in, and softer wood brings more whiskey in.
Yeah.
And that process of bringing the whiskey in, the contraction and the expansion that are happening, there it is, that happens will result in a
dark.
Look at the dark. It looks like motor oil, which I love.
I
love looking at the different colors on it. So you have a 6-year expression right there, which is pretty well aged.
Yeah.
But you have 4 years in a Spanish oak and then 2 years in a regular American oak. When I say regular, it's not regular, but American oak.
Right.
Okay. So that 4 years that it spent in that Spanish oak, there was so much of that process of expansion and contraction happening that there was so much color pulled out of that wood.
Yeah.
And that was due to the different type of wood used. French oak, Spanish oak, American oak. Yeah. So that has a big, big influence on your taste and the aging taste as well.
It's amazing the science between, wood, years. There's a lot of science. Climate.
All of it affects it.
Yeah.
All of it affects it.
The science, the art.
There is an art to it.
It's beautiful.
There is an art to it.
Yeah,
absolutely. 100%.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Absolutely.